Oh, hi there. Sorry, but this is a pretty bad time right now because I really want to get... Next time I'm gonna think twice before I enter a residence filled with that much evil. Okay, now I deserve to be eaten alive. Resident Evil is probably one of my favorite game series ever made, so I want to join the other hundreds of YouTubers who have made videos like this and just share my love for all of these different games. I want to talk about most of the games in separate videos, but also feature the remakes of the ones that have won at the time of writing. So without further ado, let's start with the first game. The one that started it all, and the only mainline game that I haven't played the original nor the remake of up until now. Only knowing it from Let's Plays I saw as a child. Too young, and definitely too scared to play for myself.
Resident Evil. Sorry, I just love saying it.
Hey. Right when you start the game, you have the choice between two characters, Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, who are STARS members at the Raccoon City Police Department, the Special Tactics and Rescue Service of the Raccoon City Police. The fictional town the game is set in. The choice between who you want to play also isn't just there for you to decide if you want to play as a dude or a woman. It also has gameplay differences, with their story paths being slightly different, and way more importantly, Jill having more item slots and having the lockpick, basically making her the easy mode. So I obviously picked her. Don't look at me like that. This is my first time playing the original PS1 versions of these games, and I'm already bad enough at horror games. Jill is the cooler character from both anyways. It's 1998, July, and a group of STARS members is searching for a helicopter that disappeared after it went searching for the hideout of a cannibalism group that was murdering people in Raccoon City. They found the helicopter crashed in a nearby forest of the city. Empty, and... Sorry, I was trying to make the beginning as serious as the game is trying to present itself, but I just can't. Who was the costume designer here? Why is his hair so yellow? Everyone else looks fine. Most of them definitely giving off like a 80s, 90s hero, action hero vibe, but this guy, let's just continue. After finding the detached arm of probably one of their former colleagues, they get attacked by dog puppets that are always shown extremely close up to the camera. You probably didn't want to build more than the head for this, which is understandable. But okay, the puppet heads instantly start snacking on the first one of them. That's what you get for wearing an ugly bandana like that. The rest of them, consisting out of the two characters we were able to choose between in the beginning, Chris and Jill, Barry and Johnny Bravo, were able to escape and seek shelter in this random mansion that apparently just exists here in the middle of nowhere. Convenient. And I just have to admire this opening. It's so unbearably campy and just way more funny to me than it ever could be scary. But it just has this vibe to it. No matter how awful the acting is or how stupid some of the costumes look, it is clear that a lot of care and passion has gone into this FMV. There even is an absolutely campy character introduction to all of the main characters that is just so cringe and awkward, except for Johnny Bravo. He is just owning that role. And if you're wondering who the Rebecca suddenly is, even though she wasn't with us in the entire opening, you can instantly delete her existence out of your memory again. She's a Chris Root exclusive character and doesn't appear at all in Jill's story. This entire thing was filmed in Japan, by the way, with them wanting the actors to be Western white people, just like their game counterparts, having resulted in them just using people that just happen to be in Japan.
What is this? Wow. What a mansion!
The acting doesn't get any better now, does it? This is amazing. Chris has disappeared after the rest entered the mansion, but we heard a gunshot from the other room, so they split up to search for him. Really speedrunning the tropes, aren't we? And here we have a staple of the classic games. The hidden loading screen, hidden in the form of a first-person door opening animation. Every door you go through has one of these. Even some stairs do. And it is so weirdly amazing. It has something very calming about it, with you running through these areas, maybe even running away from something, but then still very slowly and calmly opening up the doors and moving through them. This is a really clean and bright mansion for a horror game, especially compared to the remake, but more about that later. This is also where we finally get to control a character and, brace yourselves, The game doesn't have a control system where the character walks into the direction you press in, but rather it uses tank controls, meaning the controls always align with the sight of your character. So up moves them forward, down, back, and left and right makes your character rotate. And I know a lot of people don't like it. It can really be disorientating, but you get used to it relatively quickly. And I really think the game plays better for it, which I wouldn't have expected to be saying. What people often forget about weird control schemes is that games were designed with them in mind, or at least the good ones were. So enemies and environments react accordingly to the way you control the character here, and not like you were playing one of the newer games. Give the game a chance, and I swear to you, you're gonna run around and dodge the enemies like it's nothing. Or at least better than you would think in the beginning. Walking up to Barry, he found a blood stain on the ground, but nothing that could have left it here. So we just go to the next room and... I know this isn't really scary for today's standards, but in the 90s, this cutscene was responsible for many children not being able to sleep at night. This zombie's face turn is iconic for a reason. I just hope that wasn't Chris over there. Let's just run away for now. You can actually kill the zombie as well, but leaving the room back to Barry triggers a cutscene where he kills the zombie anyways, no matter if you did it before or not. So it's better to just save the ammo. I also think it's interesting how this cutscene is insinuating that zombies can actually follow you through doors, but that's actually also a thing in the classic games. I'm pretty sure they can't, or at least I didn't encounter it. Zombies also don't respawn after they were killed, meaning you can actually just clear out the routes you know you're gonna walk across more often, while saving your ammo on more easily avoidable ones. But this cutscene is actually teaching you something else though. Zombies sometimes fall to the ground and fake their death to surprise chomp you in the leg when walking over them. And you can tell if they are pretending or not by watching if a blood puddle is starting to build up underneath them. Obviously, being terrified by this, we run back to Johnny Bravo to report, but he has disappeared! So the only logical conclusion now is to split up again to also search for him. Special Police Force. But hey, the game properly starts from here, so let's get exploring! The mansion is designed like a big labyrinth reminiscent of Metroidvanias, with you having access to only a few rooms at a time, and having to find items that help you open up new pathways, shortcuts, and find stronger weapons. And even though this is the first game in the series, they already have perfected it here. Die-hard fans are to this day heralding the first game, and especially the remake, as the game with the best level design, and not gonna lie, I get why. It is really good. And speaking of finding stronger weapons, I found a room behind this door that is for some reason actually 3D modeled, compared to every other door that is just part of a pre-rendered background. Oh, yeah, I think I completely forgot to mention that. As you have probably noticed by now, the game is taking place entirely on pre-rendered backgrounds with the 3D characters and enemies layered on top of it, which wasn't an unheard of thing back then. A lot of bigger games relied on this technique to render way more detailed environments compared to how they would have to be simplified to have worked in 3D on a PlayStation 1, with the only trade-off being a fixed camera perspective. And it might be pretty noticeable today on our modern screens, what is 3D modeled and what isn't, but this wasn't the case for what the games were designed for, which was smaller screens with lower resolutions. I found the shotgun behind the room with the 3D door. Wouldn't have expected this game to give it to you this early, so I'm glad you're gonna take it. It probably isn't really important that the wall mount of the gun moved up like if I activated a lever or something, right? Oh shit! But Barry obviously was here to save us, which also explains why the door was 3D.
Oh, Barry!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
I love you, Barry. You are too precious. Although I have to admit, he is acting pretty strange here, not being able to really answer the questions of why he is here with us, even though he said he was going back to the dining room, and then he just awkwardly walks away. Probably doesn't mean anything. So let's just explore further. A safe room. A place where you can breathe out for a second with some calming music in the background and plan out your further movements through the mansion. There's a typewriter and a chest here. The chest is basically an item transfer system. Everything in them can be taken out from every other chest as well. It's also the way how you can drop off some items to free up some space in your awfully limited inventory. And the typewriter can be used to save your game, but only if you have the ink ribbons? Wait, what? That wasn't something they added with a sequel, right? You did need ink ribbons in the first game, I'm sure. Did they change something about this version? Because I'm playing the game through the GOG re-releases they had in the middle of 2024. Oh, and yeah, it actually turns out that the GOG release is based on the PC port of the original PS1 games, where they made Jill into an actual easy mode and removed ink ribbons from her. If you want to play as Jill with ink ribbons, you have to start a second playthrough as her. This is actually kind of a bummer. Something as basic and standard as saving your progress requiring a very finite resource was one of the game's biggest stress factors. Every save felt important, had to be planned and calculated. But that doesn't doesn't mean I didn't abuse the fuck out of it not being here anymore. Look, the system is a staple, but it also results in a lot of stress and frustration, and in my case, mainly frustration, so I am not going to pretend like I'm sad about not having to walk back through the same areas over and over again because I've died to a dog jumping at me. I did use the ribbons in the remake though, and lost over half of an hour of progress multiple times due to being too stingy to waste my saves. So please let me have this as my little warm-up game. There, by the way, also was a big bag full of chemicals next to the chest. Maybe I can also take this moment now to talk about the combat in the game. Where does the challenge come from? Mainly from its limitations, which is, again, by design. You cannot dodge, you cannot parry or anything else. You can aim, shoot and walk around enemies while praying they are not close enough to you to grab onto you. With only the remake adding the mechanic of being able to use another limited resource to get enemies that are a little too touchy off of you. You can aim up or down, but just holding the aim on neutral and in the general direction of an enemy results in you hitting them in the upper half of the body. You even have a combat knife that you can equip to maybe save a few bullets once you've downed them. Sometimes they even lose limbs, which is a nice touch. But especially in the early moments of the game, you want to conserve your ammo as much as possible. It gets a little better 1 or 2 hours in, but the beginning of the game can be very stingy with them. Obviously, also depending on how much you explore and interact with the environment. Because most items, except for weapons, key items and herbs, are not really all that visible on the screen and can be hidden in things like drawers, desks and the like. Speaking of herbs, here's a book that explains how they work. There's 3 versions, green, blue and red, with green ones healing you slightly, blue ones removing poison and red ones tripling the health effect of the others. We managed to loop back into the main entrance hall, on the first floor this time, and meet Barry again, who hasn't made any progress, but he gives us a weapon that is especially effective against living things. I don't know if that is a mistranslation or something, but wouldn't that mean it's less effective? We are fighting against zombies here after all. But okay, I am pretty sure that acid rounds are effective against anything that gets into contact with them. Barry leaves to the left of the upper floor, so I'm taking the time and explore the lower left side and open up a few more rooms with a lockpick, finding a room with a piano and notes that go along with them. But having them in the inventory and interacting with the piano doesn't really do anything, so I guess I just can't do anything here right now. Going after Barry leads you into a room right above the dining hall, where we throw down this probably centuries old statue to get the gem it held. Also, how did Barry get through here without killing anything? Like, unless he has the forbidden power of jumping over railings, I don't know how he managed to get through here. And I definitely don't want to go through this right now, so we're going back and checking out the other side of the top floor. There was a second door we haven't gone through yet that was ominously marked with blood splatters, so there obviously shouldn't be anything problematic behind it. Oh nice, a bazooka! Excuse me, what? The game is really giving you a bunch of weapons right from the start. Looks like I have no choice but to go through this room now. Let me not use the bazooka to get through it. Oh no, another 3D door? That probably doesn't mean anything, so let me just turn my back to it and oh no! On a serious note, who put that zombie in there? Did it go in there by itself to surprise attack people entering the room, or did somebody kill the guy and then shove the remains in the closet? Also, why does he look like a scientist? We find a room that is fully overgrown with vines and a little fountain that has sentient vines growing out of them that choke you when getting too close to them. The plants itself are immune to attacks, but we can fill its water supply with a chemical we conveniently found a while ago to kill it off, finding the armored key behind it. Nice, we can actually explore quite a few rooms with this one. Every locked door tells you about a symbol that is engraved in their doorknobs when interacting with them. And there were a lot of rooms that had an armor engraved in the doors. So it's time to backtrack. I have found a wooden shotgun that way. This is probably for if you are playing with Chris, because as far as I know, the segment with Barry saving you is a Jill Root exclusive event, with you needing the wooden shotgun to replace the real one with and not get crushed. Oh god, who are you? I think he's the first one of the team we're looking for that is actually still alive, right? Please say those are just gun wounds and not the bite marks of a giant snake. God damn it. He might have survived the bite, but he also got poisoned. Luckily, he knows where we can find an antidote. So we rush there as fast as we can, get some, and he still dies. And that was the only outcome back then. They actually made it so that he's able to be saved if you're quick enough in the remake, fleshing out the character a bit more, but more about that later. We cannot progress after that point for now, because the door needs a shield key, which leads me to walk around aimlessly for like half an hour or something, checking out every room to find a way that I haven't explored yet, and like I said earlier, it is a labyrinth, so getting lost from time to time here is to be expected. By the way, how did this guy get out of the room where the snake apparently attacked him? Did he find a key for the door, locked it up, and then threw it away or what? Does it have like a self-locking mechanism? Although not finding the way forward here is entirely my fault, because do you remember the room with the piano? As yes, I completely forgot that items in this game don't get automatically used by just interacting with an object while having the correct item in your inventory. You have to go into your inventory yourself, select the item, and then press use. And voila! We play the music on the piano and the secret door opens. With a golden shield behind it that we can switch out with a bronze one in the dining hall from the beginning to get this ridiculously loud father clock to finally shut up, and also the shield key. This key's only usage is the one door behind our bite wound friend. So how about we finally go there and check out what's behind it? Oh, that is a big snake. Welcome to our first real boss. I like how they managed to sell the feeling of a snake slithering around on the ground by building the model out of many separate pieces to give it the ability to curve around like you'd actually expect a snake to do. The boss itself isn't that hard. The main challenge for me came from the camera angle slightly confusing me here and making it harder to keep track of where the snake is moving, next to the room itself being relatively small. The main mechanic of the snake itself is you having to switch between aiming forward or down depending on if the snake has its head raised or lowered. And also don't get bitten like I did, because it's gonna poison you. Yeah, run away, you big lipless coward. Defeating the snake makes it leave behind a medal with an engraving of a moon. We actually have found multiple of these by now. We're completing other puzzles on the side while exploring the mansion. One engraved with a star, the sun, a mouth blowing wind, and now the moon. Okay, and now what do I do with them? I've walked through the entire accessible mansion multiple times by now, and I haven't seen a place where I can insert multiple hexagon-shaped emblems. I'm also still poisoned and I don't have anything to fix that. Didn't the game talk about blue herbs a bit ago? Shouldn't there be at least one in the boss room to save you from... Oops. Hey, who are you? Huh. Don't know who that was, but they carried us back to the antidote room, saving our life. But nobody is here when we wake up again. Well, guess we just look for a way forward now with emblems. Which took me a few more minutes to find because it was hidden at the end of a room I didn't want to go through because I got scared by a zombie dog guarding it. And it took me a while to realize that this is the spot where the emblem should go, with all the stress of potentially being mauled while running around here. With this door opened, we now have access to the garden behind the mansion. Oh, of course, now they start giving you the blue herbs. Why are we getting blue herbs now? Ah! It's raining snakes out here. Oh god, it's raining snakes out here! Luckily, there's somewhere we can take shelter here. Behind a few more dogs. A guardhouse. This place is also really big. What did they do here? And great, even more blue herbs. Survival horror game suddenly dropping a fuck ton of resources definitely never makes me anxious or something. This place looks like people lived here. Almost giving off military vibes with how void of personality these bedrooms are. Everything just being reduced to essentials and maybe a few books. Almost all zombies here also look like researchers, which is definitely supporting my suspicions that I'm having. What about the big room behind this red door? It looks like a lounge, probably for the researchers to relax after. Oh, giant spiders, the furry kind, and they can also spew poison at you! Die, die, leave me alone, leave me alone! Oh, it's dead. Oh god, it's pregnant! That definitely answered my question about why they're giving you so many poison healing supplies. There wasn't even anything in this room that you need to progress besides now being permanently scarred for life. There was a billiard table here, but I have no idea what to do with it. It's apparently some kind of code with it being arranged like a clock dial, but I just gotta leave it. I didn't need it to progress and I just want to leave. I need to process a few things. There's only one way left besides this big door, but to get there you need to get... The rooms are really overgrown at this point, not to mention the living plants again. There also are more sleeping quarters here as well. They are locked up though this time, even though not really all that securely, considering that we can find a key for room 002 just next door, underneath a massive wasp nest. And what do we have here? A report talking about experiments with plants and a T-virus. So those are actual researchers. Were actual researchers. And that definitely explains what happened to all the people and animals in the mansion and around the area. They were infected with this virus after an outbreak in here. And somewhere close to where we are right now is a plant infected with it that gains sentience and drinks the blood of its prey. There also was this ladder, not very well hidden behind two shelves. So I'm guessing I now have to go down there and fight the plant after all that build-up. The fuck is with this music? Man, even the original can be genuinely unsettling and scary if it wants to be. Ah yeah, that's a lot of water. The report did mention the laboratory being flooded, nurturing the plant down here. I just hope I don't have to fight it in here. Moving is kind of... why is there a cutscene? Is the plant in the water? Oh my god, it's zombie sharks! I don't want to go out there anymore. Can I maybe somehow... Ah! That was easier than expected. It's almost kind of cruel how they had such a special introduction just to be degraded to non-threatening this quickly. But okay, that was all we could do down here. Let down the water to probably weaken the plant, get a key for the next bedroom, and climb back up. Holy shit, it's bigger than I would have expected. But I came prepared. Die, spawn of Satan, I have a bazooka! Wait, it only takes 3 shots with this thing to kill it? Oh, okay, it was just a fake out. But wait, what am I supposed to do? Jill, why are you getting closer to it?
What the hell is this? Jill!
Ah, of course, it's another Barry saves the day moment. With him now having a flamethrower and burning down the plant, saving us yet again. I just love how they are constantly portraying that they are better off together, with Jill getting saved by Barry, just for them to split up anyways right after. But this actually makes me think again. Barry saving you here was probably yet again something Jill exclusive, with Chris having to do something else. I was able to find another report right before the boss fight talking about something called V-Jolt that apparently has the ability to kill the plant as well, with a small combination puzzle to create the substance that Chris probably has to use during the fight. But hey, doesn't matter, we're Jill. We don't need to do any of these puzzles. Oh hey, it's Johnny Bravo! He explains to us that he apparently had to run away from some of the zombies. Definitely no other reason behind his sudden disappearance. He obviously also doesn't stay with us and just asks us to return back to the mansion and look for more clues at what happened here and ways to open up more of the locked rooms, leaving us into the direction of the room where Barry is. I wonder what those two are planning to do back there. They really like to pretend like these enemies have the ability to open doors in the cutscenes. Oh shit, that's a hunter! I love these guys, and especially the way they are introduced here. At this point, a few hours into the game, I was already fully used to the controls and got pretty confident with the enemy encounters. This was until these assholes started showing up. They are fast, strong, they jump around you to close gaps, they can even dodge your attacks. One is already a challenge, but when they throw multiple at you, phew, good luck. And the entire mansion is now filled with them. Just great. I also love how the cutscene shows the hunter sprinting towards us, climbing up the walls, going as fast as possible, just for it to politely open the door. I guess we aren't the only ones who very slowly move through them. Okay, I'm too scared to fight these things right now. Let's just hide in this room that I can now open up. Man, it's dark in here. There's a book here, but I can't pick it up because it's too dark. And I looked around for a light switch and can't seem to find one. Maybe there's a generator I have to activate first or something. Let's just look around somewhere else for now. What about this room? There's another piano here. Do I have to play another song? Oh shit, the snake is back. I didn't prepare at all, but the same tactic as before still applies, so it luckily goes down pretty quickly. Barry shows up again, not having to save her ass this time, but he wants to help us some other way. The snake blew a hole into the ground, and Barry conveniently has a rope to let us down the hole to check what we can find there. What is that? He accidentally let the rope fall down with us, and he ran away to get another one? Can this guy be even more suspicious at this point? He probably just wanted to easily get us out of the way. Fuck this guy! I'm gonna find my own way out of here. Down this grave. Whatever could go wrong here. Lesson to myself, don't pick up ammo while getting surrounded by zombies. At least I'm now able to prepare more. What even is down here? The kitchen? Weird placement, I think, but okay, I'm not gonna judge. And another enemy introduction already? What do we have to fight now? That's just a normal zombie. Why did it get its own cutscene? I don't know, but going through the door it came through loops us back to the dining room. It was easier to find a way back than I thought. It took like literally 5 minutes. But there's still the other door in the kitchen, leading us to a very old looking lift that brings us to the last section of the mansion we weren't able to explore yet. Looks like this place is some sort of library? It's filled with books about biology and chemistry, and behind another scientist looking zombie, we can find a collection of news articles talking about the increasing number of attacks near the forest we are currently in, giving us a short chronology of the events that led up to the STARS team being sent out here. Ooh, the plot thickens. I love the writing of these two. People near the forest are being eaten alive by vicious monsters. Do you have enough courage to go near it? Imagine if someone would write a news article like that in the real world. Behind another hidden door, we find something called an MO disc. It probably is going to be important in the future, at least going by it being hidden like that and the music. Oh, that's a pretty big battery. I'm happy Jill actually tells you where you have to use the battery here, because I would not know otherwise. With that, we have found everything important in this area and can now go to the last room of the mansion we haven't explored yet. In it, we find another letter, talking about a strategy plan where they lure members of STARS into the mansion to collect battle data, calling the creatures in this place BOW, Bioorganic Weapon. Confirming all of our suspicions. This place was a testing ground for bioweapons, and we are only here as rats to test them. These instructions even mention the destruction of an entire building and every researcher in it, together with all the animals, signed by something called White Umbrella. This doesn't sound good. We should probably leave this place as soon as possible, but not before getting the red gem to get the magnum and using the battery in the courtyard to be able to open up a new way behind this waterfall. I also really enjoy how a lot of the main plot of what is even going on in this place is hidden behind actually reading the notes you find everywhere. Really gives you this feeling of figuring out the conspiracy of the story all on your own. Man, these are some ugly sewers. This is probably like the only place where I'd say the game looks bad. Most of the game has really nice and detailed looking backgrounds, but this place looks like they had just a single 1x1 stone texture and stretched it over the entire area. It's genuinely hard to tell where there even are paths for me. Thankfully, this place isn't really that big. And looky there, another STARS member that actually looks kind of alive. Oh, come on! None of the side characters are allowed to live for more than 3 seconds in this game, are they? Who shot him? They ran away, but they left behind a crank? Okay. We can use that to turn around the walls in some places down here and move forward, so thanks, evil traitor assassin, I guess. What is even going on anymore? Oh god, not another one! Of course it's also pregnant! Let's just leave this place as soon as possible. Add another one. Woohoo! These boulder segments are so random, but I appreciate them being here. Behind the second boulder, we can find yet another MO disc, still with no clue about its use. And another hidden room behind a wall we have to open with a crank, where we get the Doom Book 2, with a wolf medal inside. That we can put into one side of this water fountain located right behind the cave. But we also need a second one. Where do we get that? I thought I was pretty thorough, where... Oh, come on! I interacted with the table, but apparently I didn't look to the left enough while doing so for the game to register it and turn on the desk light. And now I can pick up the book, and it is the fucking Doom Book 1, and now I can open up the secret pathway underneath the spring in progress. This is a long elevator. Yep, this definitely looks like an evil laboratory for evil scientists to create evil bioweapons. This is the final gauntlet of the game. The final challenge it throws at you. And you can definitely feel that with how many zombies they throw at you. Oh, look at that, another ammo disc. With even a new naked variant that is a lot more resilient than the others. And actually also respawns sometimes. Like, they don't do it always and just mainly in this one specific room, but that's more than any of the others did. Luckily, you can take them out pretty quickly with a single fire round of a bazooka, which I am now very happy I barely used during the entire playthrough. Made this section a lot more bearable, especially with there not being a checkpoint next to the supply chest in this area. I actually got killed here by one of the nudist zombies and had to redo like half of a cave because I didn't want to run all the way back from the laboratory to the point where you could save. Most rooms down here are electronically locked, with the only open ones being this kinda storage room looking one and a laboratory. We're able to find yet another letter in the storage from another researcher. It is addressed at someone called Ada and gives us a security code to unlock the doors. Finishing another short puzzle and bada bing bada boom, we use the code on the PC in the laboratory. Yep. This is such an adorable animation. The little details in this game never cease to amaze me. This computer is basically also confirming to us that this is a research station by Umbrella. Not that this wasn't already obvious. Let's check out all of these newly opened rooms and look at that, a passcode output machine. Finally, we have a use for all of these MO discs we found. Now we just need to put it in there and we got passcode 1. Okay, what's with the sudden references to Christianity? First a password puzzle on a painting of Adam and Eve and now Bible verses as passcodes? Also imagine if I would have missed any of the previous MO discs that aren't in the laboratory. You need all 3 of them to open this door and man would I have been annoyed if I didn't already pick them up. What's behind this door? Looks like a meeting room, probably for higher ranked personnel to discuss about whatever they were doing down here. And there even is an already running projector. Let's insert the slides I conveniently found right next to the computer. It's slides presenting all of the different types of BOWs they created and we have fought over the course of the game. The dogs, sharks, hunters, and the tyrant. Something we haven't even met so far. But from the picture it looks like a relatively normal humanoid with a massive claw as its left hand. It was also already mentioned in multiple reports, always together with a T-virus the researchers developed here. The slides end with a picture of R&D staff and... wait. That's Johnny Bravo! He's a bad guy? He is a double agent, only working at Stars to monitor us. We have to find him as soon as possible. I bet he is somewhere down here. I can move this pillar to the side to get a key that opens the way forward. I bet he is by there somewhere. Oh! It never felt so good to be able to save my progress. There's another elevator, but it doesn't have power. At least the generator for this place is directly next door, so it shouldn't be too hard to get the power back. Well, that is a weird labyrinth for a generator room. Ooh, it's really loud in here. Can you still hear me? Oh god, there's new enemies that weren't even listed in the slide. Oh god, what the quick? Let me run through there. It's even louder, what the fuck? At least the elevator has power again. Oh hey, Barry also found his way here. Come on, we need to find Johnny and get him to tell us what happened here. By the way, how did you find yourself all the way into the secret laboratory? Oh god damn it. Barry is working for him. With the safety of his family getting dangled over his head to keep him complacent, Johnny Bravo's goal here is the destruction of the entire facility and any evidence of the outbreak ever happening, directly ordered by Umbrella itself. But he also seems to have ulterior motives, furthering his personal plans on the side, which consists of releasing the tyrant, which then proceeds to instantly pin him up on its big claw and kill him. Okay. He talks about not wanting to give up the research here and that he is going to have all the power of a tyrant virus for himself, but how did he plan to achieve this? By releasing an uncontrollable super weapon? Well, that doesn't matter anymore. Johnny's dead now. And after just 2 fire rounds of the bazooka, the tyrant is already dead and we can escape. Johnny dropped a key after he got impaled and we can use that one to escape the facility and get rescued by a helicopter. But not before we find Barry all torn up by monsters. He doesn't survive and only manages to apologize to us and give us his last wish. Then we give this photo to his family. We take the photo and leave the building to the helicopter pad and fly away. But wait, where's Chris? Huh, it doesn't seem right. I'm pretty sure there should have been a second actual fight against the tyrant where we blow it up with a rocket launcher in the end. Also, we haven't seen Chris once in this playthrough. Let me quickly reload. We still haven't found all of the passcodes. The second one was inside another room. You can only enter through the vent shaft. And the third one was inside of... the generator room. With all codes in hand, we can go through a very tightly locked door and find... There he is! I know he had to be somewhere close. Let's take him with us and leave this place. Barry still dies, even with Chris now here. But this time, the tyrant actually wakes up again, with Chris staying behind to hold him off while we get to the chopper. Yeah, that's it. Now we get to... Wait, what? Barry just comes and where did Chris suddenly come from? I thought he stayed behind. What am I doing wrong here? Turns out, for the true ending, you have to not only save Chris, but also have to prevent Barry from dying. And you do that by waiting for him when he drops the rope and tries to find another one. And only then he manages to survive in the end, leading to him saving us from Johnny, escaping together with us. But this also means that Johnny wasn't skewered. So he was able to escape and set off a self-destruct, leading to the final encounter with the tyrant, where we blow it up and after that, the entire mansion, ending the story proper. Whew. I think I talked about most of the things I wanted to talk about during this recap, but I can just say it again. This was such an amazing time. In retrospect, it is extremely obvious how this game managed to build a legacy and franchise as big as it did. It has everything you could ask for. An intriguing mystery story, fun characters, challenging yet simple but engaging combat, and most importantly, the tension and stress you want in a horror game. They truly managed to create a genre-defining masterpiece on their first try with this one. Okay, and with that done, we can finally talk about the remake some more. I did mention it sporadically from time to time already, when it fit the script, but there is so much more to talk about, because look at it, it is gorgeous. It is still using pre-rendered backgrounds here, with only 3D models being the characters and items, but you can barely tell how much more advanced it is here. And also the lighting. Mwah! It is crazy how some lighting can change the entire atmosphere of this game. With me having been way more on the edge than I ever was in the original. Same goes for the cutscenes. They barely changed the dialogue, and if anything changed, it was mainly done to remove translation errors. But you can actually take the still extremely cheesy script somewhat serious here, thanks to some actually really good voice acting. But that's just the visual changes. There is so much more. I already mentioned that I actually had to use the ink ribbon system while playing through the remake, even going to the easiest difficulty difficulty doesn't remove him here. And I instantly got to feel that. When I wanted to get the shotgun before saving for the first time and getting crushed by the ceiling because I didn't know you have to interact with both doors in the remake for Barry to actually be triggered to save you, but the changes are way more substantial than I would have imagined in the beginning. With the game instantly throwing map changes at you, like removing certain doors and turning 2 different hallways into just a single one. Them introducing new keys that lock up areas that were previously opened up, like the new sword key that you can find in an entirely new segment they added to the mansion, to then progress relatively similarly to the original. They definitely streamlined the experience a little bit. You now spend less time stumbling around the mansion, wondering where you have to go. You also don't have to interact with stairs anymore. To actually walk them up now, you just simply do so by walking over them. This is a big deal. Zombies feel also way harder to kill in this version. Killing one in the original took roughly 4 bullets, with a remake taking around 10 on average. They also can charge at you now when they're getting close, which led to me getting bitten even more in the beginning than I already did while playing the PS1 version. And if that wouldn't be awful enough, they don't even stay dead anymore. If you don't manage to destroy their head, they just start standing up after a while, turning into crimson heads, being stronger, faster, and generally more terrifying. And the only way you can prevent that from happening is, for one, like I already said, either destroying their heads while you are fighting them, or burning their remains, which requires 2 different items to be in your inventory: the lighter and the new kerosene bottle. With the kerosene bottle obviously also being limited to a maximum of 2 charges at a time, only being able to refill them at these fuel containers that also are limited. One strategy that I actually used instead was only shooting a zombie until it goes down for the first time, getting close to it and letting it grab onto my leg, so that Jill can just dead space the zombie's head. Because I'm sorry, but my inventory is already so limited and I don't have the space to constantly keep 2 extra slots hard locked. Yeah, I'm losing a little bit of health that way, but it is worth in my opinion. I am running around way more in this version just because of all the new items that just blowed up my inventory. I really do think that it would maybe have been a better move to turn at least the lighter into another item that doesn't take up any extra slots, like the radio or defense daggers do. Actually, I'd say the same about ink ribbons. I don't actually mind having limited saves, it's just frustrating that it requires a slot in the inventory, meaning I basically never could save at spots where there also wasn't a chest. But then again, the same could be said about key items in general. Like, why is a small door key taking up the same amount of space as a shotgun? But okay, Resident Evil wants you to manage all of your resources, so we are going to do that. It also isn't like it's super hard or anything, it can just get slightly annoying at times here. But the changes still don't end here. While the game follows the story of the original almost one-to-one, they still remixed and added into the original with certain things. Like I have already mentioned, in the story recap for example, you are now able to actually save a guy from being bitten by the snake, just for him to get eaten by the snake a few minutes later. But hey, cool new shotgun. There's also a bunch of entirely new story segments that enhance previous areas by just giving you more to speculate about the story. And obviously there's Lisa. And I'm not gonna lie, the way they set her up, with the new side area, you enter right at the beginning of the courtyard, out into the forest, where you suddenly get a radio call from Barry screaming about there being an unkillable monster in chains in the forest, where you find this abandoned shack with a letter from a small child just to get knocked out by this thing. It was so fucking cool. The remake is so good at organically adding in these new areas and story segments that I just can't stop talking about how good it is. Lisa is, by the way, also important for saving Barry this time around. The room where you fight the snake a second time is now a puzzle room, with a second snake fight now being in the library. And Barry doesn't show up here anymore to help you down with a rope. You just jump down yourself. And later in the caves, you confront Barry and take his gun. And if you decide to not give it back to him, bye bye Barry. We'd see each other again in the canon storyline in another game. Now how about we talk about the things that I did not like. And please, hardcore Resident Evil fans, don't crucify me for not thinking the Resident Evil 1 remake is a perfect masterpiece, but let me try to explain. The remake frustrated me a lot. I already mentioned that the inventory management is a lot more cluttered here, which resulted, at least for me, in a lot more back and forth, even though the map is way more straightforward. But also that the pistol is basically completely worthless here, resulting in way more bites than I would have wanted from the evil residents here. Not to mention the Crimson Heads. But a lot of the changes they made to the puzzles just straight up annoyed me, because they are essentially the same puzzle, but needlessly complicated. Like the music sheet from the piano room now being torn apart and you having to find the other half. Or the room with the sharks now requiring a key to open up the power room to drain the water. Or you not being able to just take the key next to the wasp hive, but instead having to use pesticide in another room through a hole first. And before you light up your torches, I can see you preparing next to your pitchforks. I wrote this segment of the script instantly after finishing the game, and in hindsight I can definitely admit that all of the changes they made were straight up improvements. The second I stopped giving a shit kid and realized that I basically always have enough ammo for the actually worthwhile weapons, I threw away the pistol, basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone and eliminating the issue of feeling too weak and having inventory space problems. Same with the Crimson Heads. After I found out that they are actually killable, they stopped being as much of a threat. And the puzzles? I think I was just too stuck in how they originally worked, not giving the new ones a chance and getting frustrated over having to do more, and my knowledge of the original not really being able to help me out in progressing here. But they are just objectively better, I would say. Let's just look at the examples I gave again. The music sheet being in the same room as the piano and instantly just opening up the secret door barely counts as a puzzle. Now you have to actually do something to earn it. Also, the missing piece is right next to the room where you fight the snake, so it is right on the path anyways. The sharks in the original game were such a non-threat, with them only spawning when you are standing in front of a door that makes them harmless anyways. Now they spawn just after entering the room, meaning you are definitely going to interact with them. Not to mention the sharks trying to get into the room where you are trying to lower the water, and a small mini puzzle fight where you electrocute the mother to get a key, and the same goes for the bees. With them barely having been an actual obstacle in the original when you were fast enough, and them now requiring a slight extra step to progress. But I still wanted to keep this segment about my frustrations, because I think it is important to talk about my feelings during the playthrough as a part of my experience with this game. So you can calm down, I was slightly annoyed while playing, but I can admit that I was wrong and just didn't get good yet. But after getting over all of these hurdles that I had with the remake, the rest of it was basically a breeze, and I can totally understand why people are still to this day saying that this is one of the best, if not the best, survival horror game ever made. It is holding up insanely well. Like I already said, I never played Resident Evil 1 or the remake before, while having played every other Resident Evil game in the mainline series, and I am shocked by how much more I like these games than I would have ever expected. Actually having forced myself to go through and learn the tank controls, and actually really starting to enjoy them. We are still not done yet, by the way. You can see the timer bar isn't even close to the end. We still have to talk about another game. Because remember when I said you can forget about this random side character that was shown off in the intro but never appears in the Jill campaign? It's time to remember her because, well, she got her own game, explaining how she even got to the mansion, Resident Evil 0. And I wanted to talk about it in this video because I don't think it would make as well for a separate one, and also that it is obviously strongly connected to Resident Evil 1, in story and also in gameplay, with it basically reusing the aesthetics and basically all major systems and mechanics of a remake. So let's get into this.
One eternity later.
Oh god. Why? Why? It's July 23rd in the forest near the mansion, a day before Resident Evil takes place. Apparently there was a train track here as well, with one hell of a posh train driving on them. But nothing ever lasts long in this series, and so Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII summons his army of demon leeches to attack the train and kill everyone on board. Just a few hours later, the helicopter of the STARS team we searched for in the first game is flying over the forest, and that didn't take long. The helicopter crashed because of engine failure, and the team decides to investigate the area. They find a tipped over vehicle with some dead soldiers in it. They were supposed to bring an ex-lieutenant that was sentenced to death to a nearby base, with him seemingly having escaped. Let's also not question why they were driving through a dense forest without any roads to this base. Is that a thing in America that I'm just too European to understand, or... And by the way, what is this police team? Look at all of these big and burly men that look like they were ripped straight from an 80s action movie, and then this one tiny anime girl in the middle. I think I'm overthinking these things too much. They split up and Rebecca finds the train we saw earlier and decides to enter it. What could possibly go wrong? This looks inviting. Must have been a real party in here. And let me just say, this game is gorgeous. I think this might even look slightly better than what they pulled off in the remake of 1, with everything being even more detailed and a lot more animated backgrounds as well. The zombies also don't take long to get up and moving, and we get surrounded by them almost immediately after entering the train. So we fight our way through them into the next cart. Luckily, we still don't know how to open doors in this one. We can look through some of the cabins here, finding a diary that confirms the train being used by Umbrella personnel. If the guy with the umbrella brooch in the opening didn't already give that one away. It talks about the writer going anxious due to the cannibalism attacks that supposedly are happening in the city and that they might be connected with the virus. Basically just further connecting this game with the events of the first game. We find the body of an employee of a train that is holding a key right before getting greeted by the death sentence prisoner we read about earlier with the team. He realizes we are the police and just leaves, with Rebecca doing nothing and just letting him go. Maybe she's just thinking that the room full of zombies the guy headed towards is gonna do the job for her. Whoa! I guess the rest of the team already got dealt with by the forest while we were inside the train. Ah, and there's the dog. For the guy being so close to death, he really managed to jump quite high and with enough force to break through a window. Just look at the height of the windows from outside the train. I get that mutated dogs would be able to do something like that, but mad respect to that guy. We get a call from one of our squad members called Enrico, informing us that the guy we just casually let go was sentenced to death due to him having murdered at least 23 people. Ha! Fun. And there he is again, wanting to cooperate with us. And wait, how did he come here after us? We went into the same direction with no other rooms on the way and he went ahead of us. Did he just hide on one of his seat rows until we were ahead of him? I really should stop thinking so much about the logic of the playthrough of controlling Monster Leeches game. Well, Rebecca obviously declines and heads on alone, again leaving behind the fucking serial killer. We find another survivor on the train, an old man that as soon as we touch him loses his head, dissolves, spawns a bunch of the monster leeches from his goo, and then reforms into the old man but now green. We obviously nope the fuck out of there, which instantly triggers another cutscene where the leech amalgamation dissolves again, sticking onto us and covering Rebecca completely, with Billy shooting at us directly, luckily only harming the leeches and not us underneath, and with just 2 bullets killing all of them, except one that tries to jump away, but Billy just slow-mo jumps towards it and shoots it mid-jump. Playing this directly after the first game is quite a trip. We are still ahead of some wild and weird journeys in the series, but this game is so dumb right from the get-go. And the train now also started moving again. And with that, let's introduce the gimmick of this game. You control 2 characters at once, being able to share their inventory and switch between them with a single button press. No multiplayer though, only you controlling both of them, with the one you aren't currently controlling being controlled by AI that can be given basic commands like follow or stay. Both characters also have slight differences because of it. For example, only Rebecca being able to mix herbs for the stronger health items and Billy being able to move heavier objects. With our now combined strength, we head up on a ladder on top of a train, reconnecting some cables to open up some previously closed door and get jump scared by more leeches, leading to us instantly being split up again. But now we can switch to Billy and use him to help Rebecca find a way outside the room she just got trapped in. This is also one of a few actual utilizations of a multiple character gimmick in this game, putting them into different areas for all sorts of reasons and finding ways to reunite them again. So we need to go look around as Billy, get attacked by a giant scorpion, kill it, find an ice pick, put it into a service lift inside of the room we reopened by reconnecting the electricity. That coincidentally also leads into the room that Rebecca is trapped in, and she's able to unlock the door using the ice pick. Around that point, I also found out that there is a wardrobe in the menu, giving Billy access to a suit and Rebecca to something lighter. Don't worry, I'm not running around in these for all that long. I just found it way too funny how stupid and out of place both of them look in these that I had to wear them for a bit. At the end of the train, we encounter the other method of how they utilize the 2 character gimmick. You have to pull a lever with one character and then switch to the other to get something. In this case, a grappling hook. Interesting train equipment they have here. One of the most frustrating changes they made in this game compared to RE1 is that some items now take up 2 inventory slots, and combined with the item chests also being gone, it leads to a lot of moments where you just throw shit on the ground to collect other things and then return later to pick them up again. And you really would think having 2 characters and therefore twice the inventory space would make things easier, but believe me, you are never going to have space for anything. We need that grappling hook because the second floor in the middle cart is overflowing with leech eggs, and by going through this window and climbing up on the roof again, we are able to enter a room in the second floor that for whatever reason leads to all of the leech eggs hatching simultaneously and opening up a path. In that cabin we also were able to find the key for a suitcase that held a key card we can use to finally head to the engine of the train and hopefully stop it from moving. Wait a second, what are soldiers in gas masks doing here? And they're all talking to Johnny Bravo and... who's that? So chronologically, this game may take place prior to Resident Evil 1, but it released after the third game was already a thing, and therefore it's written in a way to also include story elements of the second and third one. The intro cutscene was even mentioning Sheena Island, which was the location where Resident Evil Survivor took place, a first-person shooter spin-off for the PS1. Luckily, it isn't really spoiling anything all that important here, and well, looks like we won't have to deal with these guys ourselves because the leeches were there before us, using their goop to move through literally everything in this train. So how do we actually stop this thing? To use the emergency brakes, we have to take a magnet keycard to the last card and do some math? Under a time limit? This really is a horror game. you have to get to the required number and the exact amount of button presses that are represented by the glowing lights. And while this might look somewhat complicated at first, especially under a time limit, it's one of the most easiest puzzles the series ever saw. The solution is 99999961115. Now Billy has to do the same, but this time you can't see the number total of the ones you have entered in already and actually have to count yourself. The solution being 999999981. I couldn't think of a dumber emergency brake system for a train if my life depended on it. Man, luckily Rebecca wasn't catapulted away while standing on the outside of a train while it was derailing. So, where are we now? Of course, another mansion that also lies in the same forest. But hey, this face looks familiar. This mansion is also under the surveillance of Bravo and the other guy. But while they are still trying to figure out who we even are, their camera gets hijacked by the Sephiroth guy, who reveals that he wants to take revenge on Umbrella before... he controls the leeches by singing. Of course he does. Dr. Marcus, the old man on the painting, and the figure the leeches seem to like to take, was, according to what this guy claims, murdered by Bravo and the other guy. But for now it's left at that and we can run around this new mansion with a little duo. Oh, this definitely wasn't a normal mansion where people lived. Thank you, map, for telling me that this is a training facility? For what? Butlers and maids learning how to do their jobs? According to this manual, it's for employees in general. Umbrella is such a weird company with way too much money. But okay, they're an American pharmaceutical company, so they probably have profit margins so ridiculous they make even the tyrants blush. Imagine like this is probably just a tax write-off for them. But okay, let's get back to the game and take this handle to use it. Oh, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone! To use it on this crank and allow Billy to get us onto the higher floor. The game constantly forcing you to split up definitely is heightening the tension. I wouldn't claim the game is easy just because you aren't alone for most of it. It's definitely balanced around that fact in sheer number of enemies, but still, being alone again from time to time stresses me out every time we do it. I don't like big bugs. Luckily, I don't have to deal with these big insects alone for all that long because I just open up a door in the next room that connects to the main hall and we are reunited yet again. Just in time to also collect a grenade launcher with him. Nice! That's gonna show those bugs. Oh, it was a joke! It was a joke! This guy confused me for a second. This centipede grabs onto Rebecca for the entire fight like this, meaning you basically run on an invisible time limit and have to kill it before it manages to kill Rebecca. This thing doesn't even really attack you specifically and just walks around in a predetermined path. It actually took me a few tries because I constantly ran out of ammo against him, but after giving Billy basically every ammo and weapon I have, it didn't take too long for that thing to go down. With the fire key we have now, I can go into the kitchen and fill the lighter Billy has with some lighter fluid. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that. Next to Rebecca being the only one who is capable of crafting healing items and Billy being able to move heavier objects, both also have a unique permanent item that doesn't take away an inventory slot. For Rebecca, it's a chemical mix kit, and for Billy, it's the lighter. That was completely empty up until this point. And don't worry about me having forgotten to mention that up until now, because that wasn't any different in the actual playthrough and I won't go to the place where you need to use the lighter, even though I already was in the correct place a few times by now, for quite some time. Instead, I'm just aimlessly running around, getting hit by more leech monsters because I'm trying to find a second red door. There was an iron needle in this room, seemingly for a clock. There have been some doors with clocks on top of them, but using this thing as a key directly for those doors would obviously be too easy. You have to go back to the room with the big cockroaches, interact with this weird device, and put the time to 8:15, which was hinted at in another document. And the only reason I'm putting so much focus on this specific puzzle is because I didn't even register this as an interactable object, nor a fucking clock. And I know that it's mostly my fault and that it's pretty obvious, but I was kinda distracted by the giant cockroaches attacking me and didn't look closely at the background details. At least I didn't struggle as much with the next puzzle, where I just have to put in the code by interacting with the correct tables. Yeah, I would also worry if I would struggle with that. There's a few new rooms that get opened up with this, and I'm really hoping that there's gonna be a few healing items behind those, because I'm kinda running low. But hey, a giant chessboard! God damn it, every time. You have to mimic the normal-sized chessboard on the desk over there by only moving the king. Moving anything else is basically instantly killing you with poisonous gas, giving you the Book of Evil and Dr. Marcus' diary, which actually goes back before Umbrella was even created, talking about a virus that was developed during that time by Marcus, the progenitor, and that the Tyrant virus was created by mixing the progenitor virus with leech DNA, explaining the monster leeches that infect everyone around here. We also find out that Johnny Bravo and that other scientist guy, William Birkin, were the only people that Marcus trusted. Oh man. And they are supposedly involved with his murder? In character, but still kinda sad. The Book of Evil had an evil-looking devil wing inside of it that I can combine with this one-winged devil statue and put it on a scale in the main hall. Problem is, it needs to be evened out by this angel statue that is still missing its wings, and I hope you remembered when I mentioned not having realized where I have to use the refuel lighter, because I'm gonna spare you the next half an hour where I aimlessly checked every room again to finally realize it and find the Book of Good. Is this already the exit of area? Let's just hope it's not another torture basement. Umbrella really likes the medieval torture chambers, or in this case the Correctional Institute. The RE1 remake already was doing its best to really make Umbrella as evil as hell, and Zero definitely is continuing to make them look as fucked up as humanly possible. I'm feeling genuinely bad for the people and what probably has happened to them here. The beauty doesn't seem to like us snooping around here and is unleashing some monkeys to stop us. Monkeys? Not even like bigger than normal ones? Just small monkeys? How dangerous could they— oh, fuck, get off of me, get off! Of course. Billy! Help me! Meanwhile, Johnny and the scientist guy are theorizing if the leech controlling guy might be actually Dr. Marcus himself, somehow resurrected and massively de-aged, which would obviously be a problem due to their involvement with his original death. So, Johnny is heading out to meet up with the rest of the STARS members and fulfill his plans from RE1, while the other guy stays behind and starts to prepare blowing up the entire complex. Oh, but oh yeah, right, we're hanging around certain death. Billy to the rescue! Me being low life, having given all of my weapons and resources to Rebecca because I thought I'd have to fight a boss with her alone, and Billy not being able to mix herbs is gonna make this a cakewalk. Let's try that again with some better preparation. Fuck those monkeys. They are basically smaller, faster, and more annoying versions of the hunters, not being helped by them mostly being in small packs, but not even these things are strong enough to withstand the power of a magical grenade launcher. Oh, let me help you, Rebecca. Having her life saved by this supposed mass murderer leads to the two of them having a heart-to-heart and Billy telling us about what really happened. His unit was sent to Africa on some wrong information to infiltrate an enemy base, but all they found was an innocent village. So out of frustration, his captain forced his team to kill everyone there and then blame it on Billy. That came out of nowhere. I mean, the series can get dark, but I don't know. I really did not expect this one. With this story segment done, we can explore the rest of the mansion and find these 3 stone tablets by doing some small challenges and puzzles, and are able to open up this door behind the room where we fought the centipede boss, leaving the mansion behind for the second half of the game. Is that a private church behind the mansion? We can only enter it with one character for now, because we need to leave one behind on a pressure plate to open up the main entrance, and of course another giant animal. And I can't hold back anymore. I am so done with this game. I cut out a lot of things here, mainly focusing on the story unlike with my segment on the first game, because I continuously went more and more insane while playing this. The train was pretty alright and I enjoyed it well enough, but the mansion gets so annoying so quickly with its annoying enemies, the awful item management and the terrible split up segments. I never reached the point in any of the other Resident Evil games where I ever run out of healing or ammunition. Never. I went into this game already knowing that it had a reputation, but I never would have expected it to make me suffer like it did. And I reached a point where I basically soft-locked myself, having run out of healing and enough offensive items to get past this damn bat, forcing me to cancel my playthrough of this game halfway through. And restarting from the beginning on easy mode because I don't give a shit anymore. And yeah, this game gets easy on easy. Like, just look at my inventory after reaching the same spot again. Oh yeah, and also my recording for the rest of the game corrupted, so the rest of the footage might look slightly worse because it's the livestream recording. Having killed the bat this time, we are now able to also get Rebecca inside of a church, and using the grappling hook to get ourselves up on the rooftop. And by the way, I didn't skip over any other uses for this thing. We just didn't utilize this 2-slot using item for the entire mansion and are now requiring it again. It's such a fun idea of them to not have an item chest here. But with this, we can reactivate the power to an elevator and move underneath the church into the obligatory laboratory. With everything here being leeches. More leech enemies, leech flasks, and even keys formed like leeches. They are really hammering in the fact that this is the place where the leeches were created. Their creation also seems to have been a pretty gruesome procedure, with reports you can find here mentioning that around 20 employees of Umbrella were abused by Dr. Marcus for his testing, and that not even Umbrella itself was aware of what is going on down here. And there is a lot going on here. Torture rooms, gas chambers, and breeding rooms are just a few of the weird things this laboratory has. Comparatively, the one in the Spencer mansion almost feels tame. Nice, a gondola. Now we just need to enter it and god damn it, not again! That's definitely one way to split them up again. Hello, good sir. I hope you don't mind me activating this thing. I need to go after my soldier boyfriend. Oh, he's also holding on to the magnum. No small puzzle for this time, it seems. We are now in the factory. And going by this camera footage, I'm guessing this is a factory for the tyrants? Pretty run down place for how recently they still must have worked in here. Well, okay, that could probably be said about a lot of areas here. Maybe I overlooked a note somewhere explaining this area's relevance, but this area must have been in use up to like at the most a few days ago, right? And the areas here look like they were abandoned like a decade ago. Maybe I just didn't care about keeping things all that up to date around here. Nevertheless, the entire facility is empty, with barely any enemies besides a few stranded around here and there. You are alone after all, so they won't throw that many things at you. Enrico is still alive. How did you manage to get here? We drove for quite some time in a train to get to this facility, so did he just walk through the entire forest to get here? And to meet up with the others? He wants us to come with him, but we say that we have to find Billy and that we are going to catch up with him later.
All right. Just be careful.
Man, this guy has
I
veiny
never
arms.
saw him again.
Or not, I guess. Where did that internal monologue all of a sudden come from? Let's just see where that guy even came from. Ah, you can't go through the door, but there's an elevator key that I can use on the other side of this road. Hello, that's a tyrant. I guess we have to fight that thing now. Go, go, gadget, magnum! And right in time for the elevator to arrive. Where are we now? Hey, there's Billy. Uh-oh, a POV cam from under the water. That can't be. Oh, and he's gone. Of course, we are in a sewage treatment plant now. At least this might mean that there should be a place that maybe catch Billy's body around here. And there he is, completely fine and uninjured as well. We can't have that, of course. He has to carry some damage from this. So he gets a little PTSD attack by realizing he's swept up right next to the remains of all the umbrella workers that Marcus used for his experiments. But the game doesn't care to linger any longer on it than that, so I'm also not going to pretend that I care. That must be the thing that attacked Billy in the... Wait, there was just another tyrant? Didn't expect them to be such good swimmers. Go, go, gadget, grenade launcher! Even the achievements are making fun of the boss being reused here. Oh wait, maybe it was this thing that attacked Billy in the water? Holy shit. What? Billy? Shoot it. Billy? Billy? Oh my god! Oh my god! I know Resident Evil is really inclusive, but did we need to pander to Sonic fans here? We reached the end of the area and are finally confronting the Final Fantasy wannabe, who reveals himself, to the shock of absolutely no one, to be an aged-down version of Marcus. After he was killed by his two only trusted partners, by the way, love how they look exactly the same 10 years ago, even with the fucking sunglasses. Marcus' remains simply were dropped in the sewers here, and his leech queen that he created managed to revive him over the next 10 years, giving him control over the leeches, and also giving himself superhuman abilities. But we are of course not fighting a young beauty as a final boss, so he quickly transforms into a bigger version of the leech zombies. Oh, what? Maybe that's because of a lower difficulty, but that was a lot quicker than I expected. He literally died quicker than the actual leech zombies. Nah, this cutscene was way too unspectacular. He is not dead yet. Shit! I knew it. Birkin finally managed to get the self-destruct going, so we have to be quick. When the queen moves further into the room, we realize the big design flaw of the leeches. They can't handle sunlight for some reason, and the final boss actually begins. Billy has to distract the thing, where Rebecca is moving on her own from station to station around the room to open the ceiling, leading to Marcus finally being put to rest. What an anticlimactic end to this villain they set up throughout the entire game. Slow-mo! Ooh, so cool. We managed to escape from the facility right before it explodes, and we now stand on top of a cliff. Billy finally removes the handcuff he still has around one of his hands and throws it into the forest beneath. And look at that, spans a mansion. Rebecca lets Billy get away, to never be seen again, and Rebecca heads down to the mansion, leading into the events of Resident Evil 1. I have to admit, I thought this game's story would be less insignificant. I generally don't think you miss anything by not playing this, and you also get to keep a few extra years of your life thanks to all the anger you are saving. I don't even have anything else to say. I rushed through a lot of the recap of this game compared to the first one, because I generally did not enjoy most of this game, which really just makes me question what happened after the remake was so good. And Zero was developed by a different team than the remake, actually by the team that made one of the early RE4 versions where the game still had fixed cameras, and I also have to admit, I always was curious to how that version would have been but now I understand why it was probably cancelled. But okay, that's a little bit harsh, considering that they also made some really good games like Onimusha or the Zelda Game Boy games. Well, they also made Code Veronica, and I also heard stories about that one. I guess not every game a company makes must be up to the same quality, but we are still not done. This game actually has some extra modes you unlock after beating the game. First one being Leech Hunter, a little minigame mode where you run around the mansion again and try to collect green and blue leech gems that are slowly clogging up your inventory and can't be removed once picked up, making it harder and harder to defend yourself the more you find. At the end, you get a rank based on the amount you find and how long your average find time was, and unlock a few bonuses. I only unlocked a submachine gun ammo pack through this. You probably get the submachine gun on higher ranks, but I genuinely couldn't care less. But the remastered version adds one more thing. Wesker mode, where you can play through the entire game as Johnny Bravo, which is absolutely hilarious and funny to do, especially because Rebecca is still there as well. And Bravo, I think I can finally let this running gag die, right? For anyone that's even still watching the joke stop being funny an hour ago. And Wesker is just a skin for Billy. Even keeping it that way in the cutscenes. This is so dumb, it almost makes it worth to play through everything again. But for us, at this point, it's also a massive spoiler, because it's based on the appearance of Wesker in Resident Evil 5, giving him some of his powers from that game, meaning he has laser eyes and can dash like a madman. This is genuinely hilarious, and it's a violation of the Geneva Convention that we never got something like this in the later games. Every Resident Evil game should have an unlockable Wesker mode. Also, Rebecca has a new set of clothes here, referencing story events from RE5, but more on that in that video. The biggest problem this mode actually has is that it is automatically set to hard, meaning the Rebecca only segments would be an absolute torture. So I'm happy that I am done with it finally, and therefore also with this first Resident Evil retrospective. We are sadly ending off on a lower note than I originally wanted after how groundbreaking and amazing both the original and the remake of the first Resident Evil are, but this also means it is only going up from here. Only up. It's been a while since I actually spoke into this microphone. Hi, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I spent way too much time making it. I'm very sorry for having taken this long. That was never the goal in the beginning. I always knew this video was going to be long, but its creation was sadly stretched out way more than originally planned due to private things that are hopefully finally now over, meaning I can return to making videos more frequently and not just one video after 3 months. I'm very proud of how this video turned out, so I really hope you like it at least half as much as I do.